Hi. In the last session, we have discussed about the settings part in reference to the Salesforce administration, especially on the role of a business analyst. We need to take care of some settings of the Salesforce application on a backend. On that context, we have discussed about different things, which something relating to the kind of path settings, right? So all that we have discussed in the previous sessions. In today's session, I'm going to discuss about the administrative part, some reference to the kind of data what we have, all that stuff. Because what is that we have discussed earlier about the permissions, right? So public queues, all that stuff. At the same time, in reference to this part of data, so wherein there are different data available here. So data management is also something essentially important, right? So data integration. So the kind of metrics, what is that we require to follow? All these things must be known to us well in advance. So exporting of data is also essentially required and it is to be needed because as far as the settings of the administration itself is concerned in context to the Salesforce application, we must be knowing about what are the different data export things we have and all, right? So this is where generally data export is all about. You can see where if we want to export the data, whatever the data if we want to export and all everything, here we have an option where we want to export the data here itself. So this data exportation based upon the kind of encoding thing what we have, because whatever the file we have, that encoding file has to be identified first. So based upon the identification of the encoding file, we need to select the kind of data what exactly it was, right? So is it something relating to this exploded of data relating to accountant or opportunity, or something relating to the case commitments, or something relating to the solutions? All these things should be known to us well in advance. So this is all something relating to the data export, everything, all that sort, right? So this is all something relating to that. At the same time, when we talk about data integration metrics, whatever the data integration we want to do, so this data integration metrics is important. So for that, of course, we require an active data. Active data is required. So active data is available, then automatically these rules and all everything is applicable for us to take care of that. So this is something when we need to know about it. Now, apart from that, when we are talking about the applications itself is concerned, where we have an option where for an application manager, where these are the different applications which are available, which we are cloned already. So these are the different applications which are available here, like lead generations, right? So lightning use applications, so different applications were used, right? So different applications we can see. If you want to see the list of applications and all and connect to this is all generally, these are the new things and all. So where we need to connect with new lighting applications, or if you want to connect with existing new applications and all, this is what end of the day we have to select. So along with that, we need to have an option where we need to do some app exchanges, where we need to connect some different applications, all that. So usage of these applications has to be identified and we need to perform that as well equally. Followed by this, we need to install some packages, whatever the packages we want to update, right? So all these packages has to be installed here. Uninstalled of installation of the packages has to be done here equally. Followed by this, there are some analytics can be done, right? So what are the different analytics in reference to the applications, right? At the same time, we must be knowing about the reports and dashboards, whatever the reports and dashboards we have. Reports and dashboard settings is also required. So because these reports and dashboard settings again varies between among different things. Like for example, user interface dashboard settings enables majorly to understand about the Salesforce classic application what we are developing. At the same time, it also enables the kind of report generation using this lightning experience, all that. Followed by this, whatever the disclaimer settings and all, right? So if there is any confidential information related stuff, That disclaimer setting is there, followed by this unified analytics homes, all that, right? So these are all the different report and as well as dashboard user interface settings, which normally we need to understand and we have to do it accordingly. Apart from this, one should able in position to know about the kind of sales, what is that we are doing, right? So we need to identify the kind of accounts what we have, account settings, right? So activity settings, everything has to be updated equally here, wherein we have to do some edit settings, activity settings, everything has to be done. Followed by this forecast hierarchy, right? So we need to identify the hierarchical process, what is that is essentially required, and we have to forecast equally in order to make it more understandable. Apart from that, we must be knowing about the products, like whatever the product settings do we have, all that stuff has to be identified equally here. Now, in reference to the Einstein analytics, where there are different accesses, we have something like Einstein platform, all that. Einstein sales, Einstein search, all that stuff. This is one thing which we must be knowing in reference to the Einstein accessories, all that. At the same time, Einstein platform here, Einstein platform followed by Einstein sales and all everything. So this Einstein analytics is also essentially important nowadays to have some analytical understanding over the sales implementation in reference to the CRM applications are essentially required. Followed by this, the next was that objects and fields when we talk about. So these objects and fields are essentially important where we need to manage the objects, whatever the objects do we have and all everything. These objects has to be managed. Where we want to create any kind of custom objects and all, here you can see there is an option called create, right? So create objects, right? So create custom objects can be done here, right? So if you want to create any kind of objects as separate, wherein to provide some name, record name, all that stuff. Once it is done, we need to click on that save, because here we need to mention about the name of the object, what is that we have. Followed by this, whatever the kind of description relating to the object has to be updated equally. After that, we need to understand and we need to identify all the options which are available here, followed by object classifications, deployment status, everything. Then next we need to click on save so that automatically this custom object setups and all everything will be done subsequently here. This is what generally object manager and all everything is being something essentially important and one has to be identified here equally. Next, we need to know about the performance testing, because how the performance of an application is performing, how this performance is performing, the application is performing. So that performance paths to building and all everything should also be taken into considerations. Last but not least, API integrations here, because whatever the external objects do we have, right? What are the external data sources? All this can be integrated here, because application programming interface creates different APIs where we want to connect with external websites to extract some information, and all these APIs and all everything are being used for. So these are the high level understanding over the administrative activities an administrator or else as a part of business analyst role, a business analyst is performing. All these things are something related and similar to this. So this is all about Salesforce administrative activities on a high level note. So we will be discussing about few more things relating to data classification, identity, security, and all everything in the coming session.